Please join me in our hymn for gathering. Ah, there's my mic. We are here together. The flaming chalice, symbol of our living faith, burns brightly. Let us say our unison words for chalice lighting. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. You may be seated. For our invocation this morning, in honor of this celebration of women, I have chosen the Mother's Day Proclamation by Julia Ward Howe, who was a Unitarian, minister and religious educator. Arise, then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or fears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure others. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, and each bearing after her own time the sacred impress not of Caesar but of God. If you didn't know, the first Mother's Day was organized by Julia Ward Howe and others as a Mother's Day of peace in opposition to war. And now for something completely different, please join me in our opening hymn, Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Hi, I'm Carol Young, and I'm here to give you your announcements. We have several. The 2025 Congregational Survey, can you hear me okay? The 2025 Congregational Survey is now open. You can either do it online by accessing your newsletter online, or they do have some written surveys out on the table. We would like you to get them in by September the 27th, so you've got a little while, but this is going to help the board and the minister and everybody involved in this church to make it a better church. That's the whole purpose of it. And as you know, this is Women's Equality Day, commemorating the 1920 ratification of the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote. After decades of activism and starvation by these women, beaten, thrown in jail, I'm very grateful. Our generosity recipient for last week, we were able to raise $1,587 for Be Heard in July, and this month's generosity recipient is Food on the Move, and this is the last Sunday that I think, well, next to last Sunday that we can contribute, so let's see if we can exceed last month's take. The 31st, next Sunday, will be Breakfast on the Hill, so come hungry. That will take place, be in the place of our regular forum from 10 to 11. I was asked to let you all know that there is a upcoming events, one page front and back for September and October out on the table. One of these events coming up is Sunday, September the 7th, the Volunteer Appreciation Day and Luncheon. There will be more information forthcoming. Key people and ushers are still needed. For more information, contact James Donovan. We need key people for September 7th. I'm sorry. There are, if you're interested, there are meetings on September 7th at 4 p.m. and for ushers, September 7th at 4:45 p.m. Hope Happy Hour is coming up. It will be Thursday, August the 28th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at Savastano's Pizzeria, 8211 East Regal Place, Suite 109. Please call or text David Tracy if you plan to attend. And the Hope Programs and Activities pamphlet is being updated for the current church year. If you're a committee chair, staff program, or team leader of one of the many programs and activities here, please submit your updates as soon as possible to the church administrator and the programs VP, Gail Hawk. And today at 3 p.m. at the Fellowship Lutheran Church, 6727 South Sheridan Road, Action is presenting one in a series of Who is My Neighbor, where we can find out, we can understand the immigrant experience. And that's today at 3 p.m. You can either register at www.actiontulsa.org, or if you don't have time to register, just show up, because apparently it's very, very informative. And this ends the announcements. Thank you. Oh, and Anita Ward has an announcement, excuse me.
Hi, I'm Anita Ward, and I'm the organizer, if you will, of Supper Club. And I've contacted many of you to see, do you want to stay in Supper Club? What Supper Club is on the second Saturday of every month, there's a meal in someone's house that participates in Supper Club. And generally, the host will make a main course, and they will tell the other people, these are the things that need to be brought, a dessert, a side dish, whatever. So, it makes it not so complicated. You don't have to cook all day and cook an entire meal. You just have to cook the main course. But anyway, if any of our newer people or anyone that hasn't signed up before for Supper Club, I please see me. I find it's a great way. It's nice to be able to chat in the fellowship hall, but when you're sitting down at a table with a few, you get to know those people better. So please see me if you're interested in participating. Thanks.
Please join me in a spirit of meditation. Let all that old air out. Take a deep breath with me. Hold and out. Again, in and out. Thank you, breath of life. As you continue to breathe on your own, at your own pace and your own rate, please bring to mind a woman in your life, past or present, who has had a positive impact on you. Try to bring her face, her presence, her whole being into your mind. What does she look like? What does she feel like? Does she smell like? Does she have a certain perfume that she wears, or does she always smell of her well-seasoned kitchen? Feel in your heart the impact that she's had on you. How has she made you who you are? What do you love about her? What does she love about you? That she is brought into greater being. Spend some time with her in the silence. Now thank her and let her go for now.
So much better than reading it off my phone. The Systemic Birdcage of Sexism by Marilyn Fry. The root of the word oppression is the element press. The press of the crowd pressed into military service to press a pair of pants. Printing press, press the button. Presses are used to mold things or flatten them or reduce them in bulk, sometimes to reduce them by squeezing out the gases or liquids in them. Something pressed is something caught between or among forces and barriers which are so related to each other that jointly they restrain, restrict, or even prevent the thing's motion or mobility. Mold, immobilize, reduce. The mundane experience of the oppressed provides another clue. One of the most characteristic and ubiquitous features of the world as experienced by oppressed people is the double-bind situations in which options are reduced to a very few and all of them expose one to penalty, censure, or deprivation. For example, it is often a I thought maybe it was me. For example, it is often a requirement upon oppressed people that we smile and be cheerful. If we comply, we signal our docility and our acquiescence in our situation. We need not then be taken note of. We acquiesce in being made invisible, in our occupying no space. We participate in our own erasure. On the other hand, anything but the sunniest countenance exposes us to being perceived as mean, bitter, angry, or dangerous. This means at least that we may be found difficult or unpleasant to work with, which is enough to cost one one's livelihood. At worst, being seen as mean, bitter, angry, or dangerous has been known to result in rape, arrest, beating, and murder. One can only choose to risk one's preferred form and rate of annihilation. Women are caught like this too, by networks of forces and barriers that expose one to penalty, loss, or contempt, whether one works outside the home or not, is on welfare or not, bears children or not, raises children or not, marries or not, stays married or not, is heterosexual, lesbian, both, or neither. Economic necessity, confinement to racial and or sexual job ghettos, sexual harassment, sex discrimination, pressures of competing expectations and judgments about women, wives and mothers in the society at large, in racial and ethnic subcultures, and in one's own mind. Dependence, full or partial, on husbands, parents, or the state. Commitment to political ideas. Loyalties to racial or ethnic or other minority groups. The demands of self-respect and responsibilities to others. Each of these factors exists in complex tension with every other penalizing or prohibiting all of the apparently available options. And nipping at one's heels always is the endless pack of little things. If one dresses one way, one is subject to the assumption that one is advertising one's sexual availability. If one dresses another way, one appears to not care about oneself or to be unfeminine. If one uses strong language, one invites categorization as a whore or slut. If one does not, one invites categorization as a lady, one too delicately constituted to cope with robust speech or the realities to which it presumably refers. The experience of oppressed people is that the living of one's life is confined and shaped by forces and barriers that are not accidental or occasional and hence avoidable, but are systematically related to each other in such a way as to catch one between and among them and restrict or penalize motion in any direction. It is the experience of being caged in. All avenues in every direction are blocked or booby-trapped. Cages. Consider a bird cage. If you look very closely at just one wire in the cage, you cannot see the other wires. If your concoction of what is before you, or if your conception of what is before you is determined by this myopic focus, you could look at that one wire up and down the length of it and be unable to see why a bird would not just fly around the wire any time it wanted to go somewhere. Furthermore, even if one day at a time you myopically inspected each wire, you still could not see why a bird would have trouble going past the wires to get anywhere. There is no physical property of any one wire, nothing that the closest scrutiny could discover, that will reveal how a bird could be inhibited or harmed by it, except in the most accidental way. It is only when you step back, stop looking at the wires one by one microscopically, and take a macroscopic view of the whole cage, that you see why the bird does not go anywhere, and then you will see it in a moment. It will require no great subtlety of mental powers. It is perfectly obvious that the bird is surrounded by a network of systematically related barriers, no one of which would be the least hindrance to its flight, but which, by their relations to each other, are as confined as the solid walls of a dungeon. It is now possible to grasp one of the reasons why oppression can be hard to see and recognize. One can study the elements of an oppressive structure with great care and goodwill without seeing the structure as a whole, and hence without seeing or being able to understand that one is looking at a cage and that there are people there who are caged, whose motion and mobility are restricted, whose lives are shaped and reduced. As the cageness of the birdcage is a macroscopic phenomenon, the oppressiveness of the situations in which women live our various and different lives is a macroscopic phenomenon. Neither can be seen from a microscopic perspective, but when you look macroscopically, you can see it, a network of forces and barriers which are systematically related and which conspire to the immobilization, reduction, and molding of women and the lives we live. Thus ends the reading.
So this topic of Women's Appreciation Day got me thinking about the state of women's rights and women across the world. And across the country and the world right now, women are experiencing some of the same forms of oppression as they did in the 1970s and the 1870s and 1670s and all the way back. Not all women and not in all places, even within the same country, but it's happening. Whether it's glass ceilings and pay disparities for one class of women or sex trafficking and forced marriages for another, women in the U.S. and everywhere know the meaning of second and third class citizenship. Our speaker this morning expanded that list: missing and murdered Indigenous women, intimate partner violence, lower rates of business owning, healthcare access, divorce rates and the hoops one has to jump through to get divorced, the burden of which falls to women. Women everywhere also know the meaning of power, prosperity, and pride. In every corner of the world, you'll find activists, artists, professionals, and politicians respected by their communities and setting examples for the next generation. The power of women is a force not to be underestimated, even and especially among the most oppressed people. You'd be hard-pressed to find a detention camp, a site of genocide, a famine area, or an impoverished neighborhood where women are not at the center of leadership efforts, coordination of care, and communication and organizing. And as the choir sang, the power is within, and that is true regardless of circumstance. This inner power is crucial for undoing oppression of any kind, anytime, anywhere. I was a women's studies minor during my 2 years at Tulane. It was the early 2000s. We were talking a lot about gender as a social construct and systems theory. I clearly remember reading today from my intro class. The systemic birdcage of sexism has stuck with me for over 20 years, making its way into grad school papers and general conversation alike. The birdcage essay describes a model of oppression in which each bar of that cage that makes up that cage represents one aspect of the greater system. The essay focuses on sexism, but if you extrapolate it out, it's not hard to see how this works on the scale of all forms of oppression for all people. Sexism, racism, classism, etc. Each is equally important in keeping the birds trapped, but if you focus on the bar in front of you too closely, you may not see that the others are even there and just as responsible for the bird's incarceration. This means that your liberation is bound up with mine, in the words of Australian Aboriginal activist and artist Lila Watson. There's no getting free from one oppression without considering and collaborating with all the people affected by all the others. In my paper for that Intro to Women's Studies class, I used Fry's essay to illustrate that the birds inside may suffer from the same myopia as the onlooker, focusing only on the bars in front of us. So my bars might be transphobia and ableism. Your bars might be sexism. Someone else's might be racism. And we might spend a whole lot of energy arguing amongst ourselves about whose bar we need to break to bust out of the cage. But the reality is it doesn't matter. They're all connected at the top. And the powerful are holding the cage. So if we knock it out of their hands, the door will spring open and we'll all get free. This means we have to get rowdy. Holding protest signs is a good start, but no freedom was ever won without direct action. Not yours or mine, not the immigrants in cages in Florida and El Salvador, not the children starving in Gaza, not the trans children in the U.S. whose medical and personal information was subpoenaed this week, not the trans adults getting stopped by TSA and told their name changes are now invalid this week, not the cobalt miners in Sudan, in Congo, not the refugees, not the women in all these places and more who are trying to feed their families, hold down jobs, or simply exist. The birdcage holds all but a powerful few who love nothing more than to see the oppressed masses turn against each other, pecking and squabbling over crumbs, thinking they might get the whole loaf. The antidote to that is people power. So find the power within, and don't be afraid to call out evil where you see it, or listen, or when you hear it from the mouths of people that you know. Listen to women and oppressed activists when they issue calls to action, and follow through on them. Believe the lived experiences of people further into the birdcage than you are. If you still believe in electoral politics, call your representatives and raise hell. Don't just get angry, get active. Find and follow groups that are doing something about the things you care about. Do what they do. Join them. Volunteer with community health services, search teams for missing and murdered Indigenous women, literacy programs. If you work in a field that has direct contact with the public, especially through a government entity, use what power you have to impact people's lives positively and do not comply in advance. Help build community gardens and other things that build community in your area. Direct action is life-giving, life-affirming. Give yourself and your community life. Find the power in you and use it. Every bit counts. Remember that your liberation is bound up with mine and every other person's on this planet. So anything that you do where you are with what you have makes a difference for every other person in this world, even if you can't see it and they can't see it. It's a ripple effect. Our ancestors like Julia Ward Howe knew this, and they kept at it, even when the things that they were fighting for didn't seem to be materializing. Our ancestors like Susan B. Anthony knew this, even when the vote did not seem to be materializing. Our ancestors her name just left my head, but I was trying to talk about the first ordained UU minister who was a woman, knew this, even when she had to fight her whole life to get ordained. And I'm trying to speak up. I'm sorry, my voice is going out. So remember, the power is in you, and keep loving, keep fighting. Our offertory recipient this morning is Food on the Move. Food on the Move is a wonderful local organization that brings food to places that are food deserts and do not necessarily have access to fresh food in their stores, or rather do not have grocery stores nearby. They also provide food education and food education and other services. Please give generously. Please join me in saying our offertory response together. We build Our closing hymn is number 151 in your gray hymnal, I Wish I Knew How. And as we sing this song, which talks about wishing we knew how to be free, if you feel like you know how to be free, then think of someone either in your life or in the world who may not, and sing with that person in mind. our chalice. Oh. we have a battle for extinguishing the chalice. Someone's gonna get it. Go for it. Yes. This flame, not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or go forth and be like a bird in the sky. Be free. Be you, and carry the power in you into this world in the most freeing way that you can for other people. Be blessed and be a blessing.